Welcome to the Mark Attwood Show, Adventures in a Cosmic Suit. Akashic records. They're very interesting. I had an Akashic reading done the other day. Apparently, I'm a Gabrielite, trained with Archangel Gabriel. I've been around 1.7 million years. I've been on Earth for 5,000 years. I've always hated Catholicism. I love that. That's true. My archetypes: I'm a teacher, a communicator, a coach, catalyst for change, and an artist. And I'm claircognizant. Isn't that interesting? I do believe part of this whole spiritual quarantine period involves getting to know yourself better. Who are you really? So I'd like to introduce the person that did my Akashic reading, Erin Lynn. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Well, I'm good. I know a bit more about myself since since you worked on me.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. It's I mean, you've been doing Akashic readings for how long?
About 4 years now. About 4 years. But it's been a very intense couple of years.
No shit.
I mean, both with the reading and with the world at large, yes.
Yeah, I couldn't have put it better myself. So how did you get to, well, firstly, let's tell everybody who doesn't know what the Akashic record is.
Sure. It is a physical place in the astrals that is a gigantic, elaborate library, and it has all records of everything that has consciousness. So you have your own soul record, right? I have my own soul record. Everyone who's existing currently has their own soul record. Animals have their own soul records: your dogs, cats, horses, chickens. Locations, places have them as well. And then plants also have them, and also crystals. So for example, this is a really beautiful piece of green fluorite. It's gorgeous. This does not have, it has a consciousness, all crystals do. It does not have its own record, but there will be a record for fluorite at large, like just kind of about fluorite. So there's a lot of information there.
So who set this record up?
That's a good question. It's been there probably since the beginning of time. I honestly don't know. Archangel Metatron is the kind of guide or overseer of the Akashic records. It's been there before our universe was even created, because we have access to records from beings and things from other universes that came before us as well. So I honestly don't have that answer. So, I'd like to know.
All right. We'd like to know.
Yeah, can you tell us?
I never thought of Metatron as a librarian.
Yeah. Well, in the Bible, right, they have him sitting next to God and writing down, and that's kind of the show that he is the leader of the Akashic records.
Cool. Okay. So how did you get to become somebody that could read somebody's record?
Well, gosh, it was kind of a long journey and story. I'll try to condense it so it doesn't get too boring. I have always been a natural intuitive and psychic my whole life, but I never put any effort into developing it at all, because I really was interested in both with my educational background and career, like scientific research. I was more of a researcher, a scientist. And psychic stuff doesn't have any place in that world at all. So it was not something, it was like something that was there. I was like, okay, well, I know I'm not crazy, but I'm just pushing it away because it's not anything that's gonna be useful to me. Then about 4 years ago, I stopped doing my science stuff because I had to help my husband start something else up. So I kind of had like freedom and space, and my gifts were kind of ramped up a bit. I started, meditating, and I was getting in touch with my guides, and I just kind of was led to the Akashic records. I had seen them before. I knew what they were, not seen them, but I knew what they were. But I never had a reading, and I went and I had a reading. And because I had a reading, I kind of was introduced to the information that is there, that's contains in the records. And so I started just downloading information about other people from the records, stuff that I knew you'd only find there. And so as a result, I meditated one day, and I said to my guides, I said, am I able to go to the Akashic records? And they're like, yeah, you want to go? And I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting a yes or no answer. And so they let me in. I met the main librarian there. They had my record waiting for me. They opened it up. They were pointing to things on the record. And they were like, yes, you can do this. And they were really pushing me then to start reading for other people.
Could you actually, was that like a vision in a meditation?
Yeah, well, I'm a pretty good astral traveler and astral projector. So it's like I'm physically there almost. I'm physically in two places, like, by locating. And that's also when I do my work in the records. I'm doing that as well. Clearly, I'm sitting at my office and my desk, right? My physical body, but my consciousness is in the records. So anyway, so I was there, and then I started reading for the people. Not well at all for initially. And then I got a mentor, and I learned some stuff. And then I just started developing my own style and kind of expanding the sphere of knowledge in the Akashic records, because I'm a researcher. Right. So that's my natural inclination. So that's kind of how that started.
Wow. That's cool. Yeah. And I really enjoyed what you read for me. It's so, it's so interesting. You know, the past lives, I'm looking at my notes here. All these past lives. I love the fact that I always been against Catholicism. That really made me laugh. I was born into this life hating Catholicism. Yeah, and also you said I'm a plant empath, which I thought was very interesting, because anybody that's watched this show knows I'm always going on about plant medicine. I was strongly drawn to that. Really, and I have a really good relationship with the plants, actually. So that, you know, it sort of confirms a lot of things and uncovers a lot of things. And then, you know, I don't know what other people do, but what I'm going to do with this information is meditate on it. I'm going to meditate on some of these past lives and see if I can really pull up some memories of being there. But what was really interesting for me is there's a few things you said to me. You said that the ship that I saw was sent by a race called the Gamma Phoenicians.
The ship?
Yeah, would that be right? You said
no, they don't have ships. They were, you had explained that you had seen this kind of image of a dragon, like a non-physical image, if you will. And you asked if they were non-physical, and I said, no, not to my knowledge. And when I asked about that, they just said they were just, because they can't come here physically right now. And so they were just, that's a way of showing themselves to you.
Yeah. And also you said, I'm Shadarian. I'd never even heard of that before.
Yeah.
Let's go and have a look at your Schedarians.
Sure.
So
there they are.
That's it. This one here.
Yeah.
So you meet these beings, and then they tell you whether they want to be known about at this moment, and then you kind of go and get somebody to draw them from your picture. So basically, I'm this sort of, I don't even know how to describe what I'm looking at.
Yeah, it's weird. Can you make it bigger? Can you click on it?
I can click on it and see what happens.
There you go. Okay, it's a little better. Okay, so the Shadarians. So I meet them I meet these beings in many different ways. So it is sometimes, oftentimes it's through a client reading, right? Because there's like 23 or so known places where star seeds are from on Earth. And I'll explain what a star seed is for those who don't know. And it's becoming a more common term. So when our soul is created, it starts its journey, we must choose where we're going to have our first informative incarnations. And we choose that is our choice, and we have our first several incarnations there, and then we kind of suck up the energies of that place. So it becomes not the only component, but a large component to who we are. So that's why we look at, well, where did this human being or this soul start? Where they're, and even if they never return, then they'll still have that strong energies. So that's why it's important. Anyway, so I find them through client readings frequently. And then also sometimes they just come to me like, hey, we'd like to be known. And I'll go, okay, well, can you send some clients my way so I can test my channeled information? I don't like to just willy-nilly send stuff. So anyways, the Shadarians were one of the ones that came across, I don't know, about a year ago. And they were just like, yeah, we'd like to be known. And I said, okay. And so I went in and I got information about them. I asked a lot of questions. Then I asked if I can go there. I always ask, I always make sure it's a benevolent group. I don't want to go into a place nasty. And they said, okay, yes. And I did. And I got there and it was, I've seen many places by this time. I've done a lot. This is not one of the first ones I've met. And I was like, what the heck am I seeing? This one was the hardest for me because it was so outside what I could comprehend as life and beings as an earth human with an, earth human consciousness at this time, right? So and I got very frustrated. It took me many visits and eventually the clients started coming, but they are a non-physical realm. They are very high dimensional. They're in the Cassiopeia constellation. Alpha Cassiopeia. Shadar is the name they prefer. It's the Arabic name of their planet. So they're 12th dimensional. They also their planet is the power generator, if you will, for the third eye chakra for all beings in our universe. So they're very third eye, psychic forward. They are non-physical beings. I don't know if you can pull it up again so people can. Okay, so they're non-physical beings that you can kind of see here. So we're physical, right? We're physical. Now, there are beings that are apparition-like, but they are not ghosts. They are actual having a lifetime, and their world just happens to be non-physical. So if you can see on here, Shadar looks like a computer simulation to me. Those colors can vary a little bit, but it's pretty much what it looks like. The actual projections are hard to see, but they're constantly changing shape and moving to, I think, express energies, to communicate with one another. And they also do communicate with me that way. But obviously, I'm no Shadarian, so I don't understand it as well. So they do talk to me telepathically as well. But they'll send me like a thumbs up. Or, if they, that's good. We like that. That's right. That kind of thing to show me that my mind's eye, that I'm in the right track. So they're lovely. They were very welcoming. They showed me all about their planet, what I could understand. But they are one of the most unique ones. And the people that come here from that place, they're like the pioneers for that soul group, right? So they've only been coming here about 5,000 years, and they know that Earth is on its way up, its ascension, and they think, well, maybe we'll start in mass kind of having more of our people or our souls incarnate on Earth and have experiences. But the souls that are here are kind of like turbo Shadarians, and they are here to kind of be pioneers, express their energies on Earth, and then send the data back to the Shadarian home planet.
Wow.
So you didn't know you were doing that, huh?
Well, I knew I was doing something. But I think I said to you the other day that what I find interesting about this picture is those are the colors that I saw in my experience in the stone circling last week coming out of the sun. Those exact colors. So, yeah.
They were priming you for your reading.
Wow. So there's lots of these as well. I mean, who else do you want to introduce us to?
Let's talk about the first ones. Just keep scrolling. Hopefully we'll find there. The aldermans. Go back. Right there, the aldermans. So let's start with the original ones. So these are the aldermans. These were the ones that first showed themselves to me, and they showed themselves to me in the third ever practice reading I ever did. So really from the beginning, it's been coming on, and I got up to about 36 ones I found thus far. But anyway, so the aldermans are the first ones that introduced themselves to me. They are also in the 12th dimension. This is a physical planet. They're physical beings. You can see they kind of look like us. You can see they also kind of look like the representations we see of like Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the realm of spiritual mastery and of realm of creation. So these beings are the home world for Jesus Christ. And the fact that we see Jesus in our texts and in our culture looking like this, it's a nod to where he's from. Now, he was here in a human body, but he is an alderman soul. Okay, and so all the ascended masters, it's kind of their home base. And they are they've been very involved in creating our realm from the get-go. They are very service-oriented. They want to help. But what's kind of most striking about them is their demeanor and energy is so gentle and accepting and loving. And I don't know if anyone's ever worked with, Jesus's energy before, but this is what he exudes, right? But they're no wallflowers. Like, they will get down to business and be protective and protect when necessary, but they do it in a loving way. So Jesus really also kind of embodies their energies, and so as do the people that come from aldermen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting, because people think being spiritual is being fluffy, but let's not forget Jesus was a warrior as well. And
Yeah.
he would smash up those tables of the bankers. He didn't. He wasn't a wallflower. So
No.
that's really. So you pronounce that
Alderman.
Alderman. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And they are from the Cephas constellation. And so they're the 12th dimension. And they are, when you see the Cephas, King Cephas in the sky in the drawing of the constellation, alderman literally means right arm of the king. And they are kind of at the right shoulder of the Cephas constellation, the King Cephas constellation. But, and they told me, they introduced themselves to me and they said, we're the right arm of the king. And I said, well, you're literally the right arm of the king. And they're like, yeah, I can see that. And they said, no, we're the right arm of the king. We have a sister planet. And I said, well, what's your sister planet? And they said, where the king is. So if you want to, I'll show you what that was the second one I found. If you want to pull them up.
Yeah. It's coming.
Okay. So keep going.
To the left?
Yeah. Or either way, they'll hit them all eventually. Keep going. There. Onkin.
Ah, the frogmen.
Yes.
Wow.
So these are the Onkins. They are from, I think it's Alpha-Phoenicians in the Phoenix constellation. It's on the crown of the head of the Phoenix, the very top of the head. And this is where source energy is located. So the beings that live on Anka, they are one of the highest dimensional realms in our universe. They're the 15th dimension. And they work with source energy. They live among source energy. They are transmuters of negativity and evil. They are very active in the Galactic Federation of Light. And they they basically work with source energy. So King being God, and then Jesus, the Son of God, who's described, we're all sons and daughters of God, but in the Bible. And the Ascended Masters are kind of those that bring forth the spiritual teachings to the masses. So that is the sister planet, and that's where they are. Now, the Onkins do not like being referred to as frogs, but obviously...
I'm sorry, and
they don't like it, but they understand that that's what we know them as. I mean, that's how we can describe it, right? And since they were early on, I was introduced to them. I didn't know about the Pepe the Frog thing. I'd kind of seen it in my subconscious, but I didn't really pay attention to it or know. And obviously frogs exist here, so it's not that shocking, right, that someone would draw a picture of a frog. But anyways, that's also like Jesus. When we say the God's winds thing and they have a frog face, they've kind of sent that forward into our culture as a nod.
That's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to show everybody that.
So source to me, when I see it, because it's in the main city, I call it the Crystal City. I don't think they call it that, but that's just what I refer to it as. Their entire planet is very crystalline. They can fly. They speak through telepathy. They can shoot things out of their hands, but their main their main city, and that's where Source is located, is this beautiful crystalline city, and it's like skyscraper, like New York City, but they're like clear crystal, and there's like these white lights that kind of come out from them. And Source itself is this just huge, immense beam of white light that kind of envelops you.
Oh, that sounds weird.
So that is the Onkins.
Don't you get a bit bored when you come back here?
Well, there's a fine line, right? So when I'm talking about weird stuff, right? Pretty out there stuff, but I have to do it in a very grounded manner, or people are going to think I'm, a crazy lady, right? Mm-hmm. So it's definitely more interesting, but I think it's important. This is where I am here now. This is what I'm doing now. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I need to also stay present and not totally immerse myself in the fun places. Yeah. I got to find my fun here.
Yeah, of course. So what else should we talk? Which one? Oh. Yeah, who else can we talk about? Oh, creators of the suns. The Alpha.
Yeah, let's talk about the Alpha-Draconians. Why not?
Yeah. That's a serious curriculum vitae, isn't it? What do you do? I create suns.
I create suns. I bring consciousness to the world. Yeah.
Yeah. It's my day job. Kind of a hobby.
Something I do. So this is a very interesting group. I found them early on too. They do come here just like the Onkins and the Aldermans. However, they don't normally come here like on their own. They're here because they had a part in creating our world and they're kind of overseeing it. So that's why they're here generally. So the Alpha-Draconians also were in the 15th dimension. They're in one of our highest dimensional realms in our universe. The planet is non-physical. They take 3 forms, which I have represented here. So their planet, like the Shadarians, the Schedarians are the power generators for the third eye chakra. Their planet is the power generator, for lack of a better term, for all the suns in our universe. So it is a non-physical realm, is blue. It's nondescript. It is also cold there. So it is not hot. Anyway, so it's also known as our central sun, their planet. So in the middle, you see the gold orb. That's kind of what I see them floating around in. And when they stop and talk to me on their planet, they'll be in that outline image, right? Mm-hmm. But they do have ships, and they're also very involved in the Galactic Federation of Light. So when I asked how do they drive a ship as a non-physical being, like an orb of light, how are you driving a ship and operating a ship? And they showed me that they take a physical form when they need to.
Okay.
That's their physical form. So their realm, no one really messes with them, right? They're 15 dimensional. They're not really, you're not going to pick on them in the universe. They're very powerful, extremely powerful. And and they're non-physical, right? So, and also their realm is eerily serene, like the most serene and quiet place I've ever experienced. And so as a result, they find being here very chaotic, and they'll be like those worst case scenario people. They tend to be kind of wound tight and kind of struggle with emotions here because they're not a very emotional species. And so it's a hard existence, very kind of nerve-wracking existence for an Alpha-Draconian on Earth.
And have you come across many of them?
Yeah, I do actually. I do. A lot of them are what we call blueprinters. And I think this is a kind of an important thing to discuss in the context of the Akashic records. So, and also how I'm just finding all these beings, because it's not that they're new. They're not new. They've been here forever, and they've been coming here for a long time. So in the Akashic records, so beings from other planets will come together with special trainings and actually work in a very specific way to create a realm. All realms have been created by another group of beings before it. Okay, we call them blueprinters. And so they frequently come back as a blueprinter to the place that they created or had a hand in creating to kind of oversee it. So really we see Onkins because they're blueprinters. They're here for that reason. We see Alpha-Draconians because they're blueprinters. They generally don't come here. Aldermans are blueprinters too, but they will come here also on their own. It's not a blueprinter. Shadarians are not blueprinters of Earth. They create other realms, but not Earth. At any rate, so when we were told, when we read the Akashic records, if someone's a blueprinter, we're never told where they originate from, because blueprinter is a job description, not a place. So they'll be like, well, you're here because you're a blueprinter. And they never told, you were never able to find it. But since the beginning, I've always been able to find out where someone was from and their blueprinter notation or their blueprinter job. So just because you are a blueprinter does not mean that you are not necessarily from a group we know about. Like I see Pleiadians and Nihals and Syrians a lot as blueprinters, but I also see these other places as souls that are blueprinters here. And that was kind of their way of hiding this, because they felt that we were not ready as a species to really know these beings and understand them. So also, a lot of people are called blueprinters, and I find out they're not even blueprinters. It's just a way to kind of hide it for whatever reason. So now that's kind of opening up.
So
that's how I was finding these beings.
Yeah, well, this is how things enter consciousness, isn't it? And there's a reason. What's their reason for wanting to be seen now or known about? Is it just sort of breaking us in for becoming a galactic civilization? Is that?
Yeah, it's basically we are ascending. I mean, I don't think we're going to be, Earth is going to be, it's going to take a while, but this is just the beginning stages of opening up this new level of information. And they did hide it. I mean, they hid it for a long time. And a lot of things that we thought were true or maybe not so true anymore. So, you know, I'm sure there's more to know. I'm not saying that I know all and I'm still learning new stuff all the time, or even that I would be given all the information in my lifetime. But it's just it's now the next level of galactic information that's coming forward.
When you say it's going to take a bit of time, what insights have you got into that?
Well, I think the idea is to have humans be, or Earthlings be a part of the Galactic Federation at some point, but we're probably hundreds of years away from that really happening. But I think it's a slow process of bringing everyone kind of on the same page. As you know, everyone's at their very different levels of and experiences in their awakening.
Yeah.
So this doesn't mean, though, that they're not helping us. They've been helping us all along, and they've been watching and observing all along, and they felt this was their time to reveal themselves. You know, I've met some that do not want to be revealed at this time, and I don't talk about them. So I just say, well, let me know when you're ready, because there seems like there's a divine time when this is supposed to happen. I'm not privy to it. I just get it when I get it, and then I just, you know, talk about it when I find out.
That's cool. If you guys watching want to get a Akashic record reading with Erin, the link is on the screen and in the description. Let's go back to a few more of these beings then, if we can. Sure. So we've had them.
So you want to go to, let's go to the Xavi-Javins. Let's go.
The Xavi-Javins?
Yeah.
Am I going the right way?
Yeah. We'll get there eventually.
Cool, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go.
So these look like the, whoa, yeah. These guys.
Since we're on the roll of the 15th dimensional beings, this is the third 15th dimensional being in our realm that I am aware of. So these are the Xavi-Javins. They also revealed themselves to me rather early on. So we talked about the Shadarians, right? We talked about how they are like kind of outward projection, and that's kind of how they live their life. Xavi-Javins are the opposite. Everything in their life is an internal projection. So they are, like I said, they're 15th dimensional. They are a non-physical realm. And when I first went to their place, where they live, this is what I saw. And I was like, so they just hang out here and they just meditate all day. And these orbs are quite large. They're probably taller than I am. And I was kind of walking around and nothing was happening. And I did like 3 times. And it was the same thing. I'm like, well, this isn't super interesting. And then the 3rd time, I was then pulled into their inner world. And that's when it became alive. And I was actually able to meet the Xavi-Javins. They were projecting themselves internally into their internal projection world, if you will, as humans, I guess, to try to make themselves look like me. And they were dancing and they were having a great time. They also are the generator for the sacral chakra of the universe. And they also are the masters of enlightenment. They create the codes to enlightenment. And they teach enlightenment, true enlightenment, to the universe, whoever's interested. They gave the codes to enlightenment to the Speakins, which are neighbors of theirs in the Virgo constellation, because they simply don't need them anymore. And when we say enlightenment, we don't go, oh, we have spiritual truths. Enlightenment really means that the external is of no consequence. It's of zero consequence. And so you are able to totally turn out whatever's going on to the external and totally go in and have whatever experience you want on the internal, right? That's reaching true enlightenment. And that's very hard to do. It's easy to do in a 15th dimensional realm. And when you, your realm is the sacral chakra center and, you're having a great time and can project whatever you want. It's much harder to be enlightened when you are on Earth in a 3 or 5D dimension in a physical body. So they are great. I actually work with them quite a bit. And I channel a lot of information from the leader of Xavi-Javins, the current leader. He refers to himself as John because we can't pronounce their names. But that's how they are. They're great. There are a lot of them currently on Earth now. They've been coming here recently, around 5,000 years, because they felt the need to help. They just saw, okay, this is the last leg. This is the last push. Let's go in here en masse and let's make it happen. But they also do like to take on very challenging lifetimes, really challenging ones, because they like to practice their enlightenment skills in an earthly body.
Yeah, well, Earth is the big challenge, isn't it?
Yep. So,
okay, who's next?
Let's talk about, you want to talk about the Gamma Phoenicians?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which way are
they? Just keep going. You'll get it. You'll see it. Just keep going one direction. We'll keep going.
That's so many.
Yeah, and this is only like a fraction. Okay, there you go.
Oh, these guys, yeah.
So also it's kind of important to note. So 15th dimension is technically the highest dimension we have in our universe. And we have 15 chakras in the physical. Well, no, sorry, not in the physical, in our life forms here. So we have the 7 in the physical we're aware of, and then we have 4 above our head and 4 below our feet. And that matches each dimension that's present in our universe. Now, if we go to another universe, which is more established, and maybe there's, 20 dimensions there, then the life forms there will have 20 chakras. So that's why we tap out at 15th dimension in this universe. But let's talk about the Gamma Phoenicians. A lot of people are working with dragon energy. They really feel a kinship with the dragons. This is the realm of the original race of dragons in our universe. Against Gamma Phoenicians, they are kind of neighbors to the Onkins, although they don't work with the Onkins too much. It is a physical realm, and you can kind of see their world looks kind of similar to ours. They are very drawn to Earth. They saw its potential. And they like it because it also kind of looks like their realm and feels like their realm. And so they actually, in their Gamma Phoenician bodies, about 100,000 years ago, up to about 50,000 years ago, they actually came to Earth through portals. And they were here, and they were kind of helping the blueprinters and kind of do civilization building, because they were getting it ready for the Earth souls that were going to start coming to Earth. And so they were here for a long time, and they liked it, and they really enjoyed being a part of this. But trouble started brewing here, and then they had to leave for some reason. It's still kind of unclear to me. But when I asked, where's the portal? What was the main portal you went through? And they said Egypt. So there's something going on. This is well before the pyramids came on, but they said their preferred place or portal was in what we call Egypt now. So something's going on there energetically beyond the pyramids, or it's probably why we have the pyramids there. So there are many different realms with dragons on them. For example, Arcturus, right? They have smaller dragons that they kind of befriend and work with, and they ride around on. It's kind of like a mode of transportation for them. And then like Regulus has small dragons, and then I know Polaris has some other dragons on their world as well. These are not Gamma Phoenicians. These are subspecies of dragons. And I'm told there's about 22-ish or so, or 20 so subspecies. So not all dragons are Gamma Phoenicians, but they are the start of the kind of the root of the dragon race in our universe.
Cool.
And they came forward too. They were very pushy. They really want to help, and they are really wanting to come back here at some point.
Yeah. Well, you're very welcome, guys. I'd like to see you. Be great living in a world with dragons popping and flying.
Yeah. Well, most people would freak out, but yes, it would be awesome.
It all seems kind of natural to me. These guys are interesting. What are they?
Which ones?
What are these called?
Oh, they're Inlokos. Inlokos.
Yes, look at them. The masters of manifestation and crystal technology.
Yeah, I don't see them very often. They are from the planet Beta Phoenicius and the Phoenix constellation. Are you kind of noticing that like these Star Wars looking characters are kind of coming up? Like if this being kind of looks like Chewbacca.
I was going to say that, and
yeah. And the Alpha-Draconians kind of, in their physical form, kind of looked like C3P, or is that C3PO?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Well, again, that's their way of kind of gradually sending that information down and kind of introducing themselves in a soft way, but kind of like having them be ingrained in our culture. So I don't know if this was intentional from the creators of Star Wars, but it was like how it kind of came through. And so even the characteristics of C3PO are very similar to the characteristics of humans, or Alpha-Draconian souls in human bodies. It's kind of interesting.
Oh, so we're looking for Camp Englishman.
Yeah. Is that
That's Anthony Daniel? Oh, R2.
Yes, but more like when things go wrong, he gets real nervous.
Yeah.
Right. Oh no! Yeah. Oh gosh, things are going wrong. So it was kind of
we're all doomed. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So anyway, so these beings, again, they're also 12th dimensional beings as well. They have been through a hard time. They actually started from the bottom and ascended their way up. They're a very ancient realm.
Oh wow.
And they still are working out karma and kind of scars, if you will, from having those experiences. They were kind of another race came in and kind of enslaved them. And you see in the background of them, there's this kind of temple-looking thing.
Mm-hmm.
So they keep them around. That's where their former slave masters, which are long gone, lived, and they kind of keep those as memorials to never forget about what happened.
So we're going to do the same thing here.
Probably.
We'll probably keep Buckingham Palace as it is, as a relic, to remind us never to be ruled by lizards again.
Yeah. So that's so they keep that there, and that they showed me that. Other than that, they don't really have any structures. They kind of live amongst nature, and it is a very like jungle environment. Anyways, so they are, again, to the 12th dimensional. They are physical. They're kind of like a solitary species. They do have mates, but they're like, some of them, like the Aldermans, are always in groups. I'm always just meeting one Inloko at a time. They're very gentle, very nice,
this does sound a lot like Bigfoot to me.
Well, the Bigfoot or Sasquatches, not that I've ever seen one, but they are not these, but there is a subspecies from this, kind of like, the Gamma Phoenicians. So they might be a subspecies of the Inlokos, but they're not the actual Inlokos here. They can't come here.
Okay. But Bigfoot is definitely interdimensional, is what?
No.
No, Bigfoot is.
Do I know what it is?
No, I'm saying Bigfoot is interdimensional. That's why it shows up and it disappears again. They're coming from a different dimension. Yes,
well, this is not. But they're not Inlokos. But they do tell me that they are there's like a subspecies. Of them. So that's how and I don't know if they're good or bad. I'm not sure. I know the Inlokos are good. I don't know about the subspecies, the Sasquatches are. I haven't really done a lot of research into that. Maybe that'd be something to look into. But they also are very interested in the crystal technology. So they don't really use tech, like they don't have gadgets, they don't have ships, but there are some very important crystals in our universe and even in our world that are very powerful, and they can tap into them, and they're kind of the guardians of those crystals and that race. And so they're very kind of masters at like tapping into that natural crystal technology that we can only begin to scratch the surface of here.
Yeah. Cool. Should we do another one?
Sure. Let's go. Yeah, let's go. Let's talk about some reptilians.
The happy reptilians.
Yes.
Want to talk about them?
Yeah.
Because reptilians get a bad rap.
They do. That's why I wanted to bring them up.
Yeah.
So these are the Milos. They are in a planet. They are from a planet called Omicron Virginis in the Virgo constellation. I found them kind of recently, but they were very enthusiastic about being known. Like the Inlokos and like the Milos don't really come here on their own. So they're here because they have strong relationships with other planets. The souls do come here. So it's kind of like they come here as a result of that relationship, if that makes sense. So I'm never just going to see, well, I guess I can never say never, but I don't normally see like a Milo soul on its own here. They're here, they're Milo and something else, Milo and Arcturian, whatever. And that's why they're here on behalf of their Arcturian relationship. Anyway, so they are very friendly reptilians. I know we hear reptilian, reptile, it's bad, it's negative connotations always. And I'm not denying that there are some negative reptilian races. I'm certainly not saying that at all. They do exist and they have been problematic on our realm and others. But these are very friendly. And they have been learning enlightenment. They're not quite there yet. I think they're in the 7th dimension now, but they're learning the enlightenment because they're neighbors to the Xavi-Javins. So they have a good relationship with them and kind of been learning enlightenment. So they're a very happy realm. They are joyous creatures. They're very like demonstrative. You know, they're very like they're a hoot. They really are. And so they come here and they like to make people happy. These beings, when they go into earthly bodies, that Milo side of them always is trying to make people happy.
Well, like if they came here, they do very well. If they came out as a line of cuddly toys as well.
Yeah, they kind of look, but they kind of look like little dinosaurs, you know. And they're like about 2.5 feet. They're small.
Oh, they're gorgeous. I like the fact that they live in mud huts and have spaceships next to them.
Yeah. And it's like yeah, we do. Some will really embrace technology, like the Nihals. They just love the technology and they're very technologically advanced. And others really just embrace the natural technology because technology is all around us. It's just not in a machine or a device or a widget.
Yeah, absolutely. We're surrounded. Yeah, nature is technology.
Yeah,
we are technology.
Exactly.
Yeah, brilliant. Should we go to another one?
Sure.
The Hadarians, who are they?
Okay. Well, this is a known group. This is interesting. They've gone through kind of what we've gone through, but in the past, in kind of more recent past. The Hadarians are a well-known group. They have been coming here since the beginning. They are in the 5th dimension, kind of now nearing the 7th dimension. They are in the Centaurus constellation. They're in Beta Centauri, but Hadar is their Arabic name. They are a lower dimensional realm, but higher dimensional than us, that really has love, divine love, as their centerpiece, right? So these beings are all about love and experiencing love and sharing love. And they will take on lifetimes on Earth where they are experiencing the pitfalls of love, the different types of love, all things like, things like that. A lot of them also did sign up as blueprinters of our Earth. So I do see these as well as blueprinters sometimes, but they also come here on their own and they will have many lifetimes here. They're very experienced with coming to Earth for the most part. They mostly have like sometimes over 100 lifetimes. Anyway, so they came up to me, and I assumed because they were so well known on Earth with the Akashic record readers that there were like drawings of them. So I never really, like, I focus on the new ones. I don't focus on the ones we all know about. I want to bring forth new information. And so I had the Hadarians, and they reached out to me and said, well, we'd like you to do a drawing of us. So I was like, okay. I said, well, if I do that, can you give me some new information about your realm? And they were lovely. They were very friendly. They told me kind of that they had gone through something similar on their own world. Things had gotten really bad. Negative entities had kind of taken over leadership positions. They were starting to, they told me, have like a military pull people out of their homes with weapons. And if you see, that's why their homes now are kind of raised off the ground, because that's from a past trauma. As a result of that, they feel safer. Even though that negative entities have gone, there's still that trauma that remains with the DNA of that race. And Earth also will kind of carry on that knowledge and that experience, and to some extent that trauma. From what we've all been through, and the Earth itself will hold that. And so beings that live there will kind of incarnate there, will have that experience. So anyways, they just kind of showed me, they told me kind of how they got through it, and they're kind of on the other side, and they're on the up and up. So they're lovely beings. And I was just surprised. And I thought, I'm for sure someone's going to have a drawing of the Hadarians somewhere. And I couldn't find one. So I was like, oh, I guess you guys are right. All right, I'll do one. I was like, all right. So
it's fascinating. How many have you found in total?
I'm up to 36.
36.
And they just keep coming. And also I know some that have come up, and they are they don't even come here, but they still communicate with me, introduce themselves to me. I generally don't put them on the site just because I can't test the information if I don't have clientele to come forward and test my channeled information. So that's why I hesitate to really go public with it. Oh, let's talk about the Crags.
Cranks, where are they? Oh, the Crags.
Right
there. Yeah. They look interesting.
Yeah. They are. So the Crags, so like, remember I said our universe has 15 dimensions in it, right? We have the 15 chakras that correspond to the 15 dimensions. Now, the Crags are kind of a different thing. They are actually a little further along. They're in the 17th dimension. Their home base in our universe is Alpha Andromeda, but they consider themselves to be part of the Pegasus constellation, and they are called Crags. That's what they refer to themselves as. So they're in the 17th dimension. It's a non-physical being. As you can see, you can kind of see through them. They're kind of a glowy, yellow, gold, glowy, a giant. They're probably like 20, 30 feet. Like I come up to their knee. And what they do is they're responsible for creating the structure of the universes. So not the individual realms, but a new universe needs to be created every 5 billion years or so. And then they actually go and create the structure for work to begin on different realms. Okay, so it's like they take a carbon copy of a previous one and make a new one. And that's what they do. And they're a little higher dimensional because they kind of come from another universe to begin with. But they have a presence in each universe. And what they do is they're very like high level observers, because they're interested in observing and seeing what changes need to be made to the universal blueprint, not realm or individual realm, but the universal blueprint as a whole. I find these beings to be very, they're friendly, they're very by the book, and they're very like standoffish observers for the most part. They're not going to really involve themselves too much in any of their souls that are here or with people here, not because they don't like them. It's just they are here to observe and report in their mind. And so they came to me initially because an energy healer gentleman named Ken he comes from this realm, and he was talking to them, but he wasn't able to really get a lot of information. Now, he's a very psychic guy. I mean, he clearly is very powerful psychic, but he's like, they won't really engage with me. They tell me they're unknown. I can't really get information about them. I said, well, I'll give them a shot. I'll see if they'll talk to me. And they did, and they took me to their world. They did all this stuff, and the reason being is, they are not really going to engage a whole lot with their people, because their people are here to just do high level observation and report back.
Fascinating.
Yeah. And it's a pretty rare. I've read for like maybe 5 of them. They're sprinkled around the world, but there's not many Crags on Earth, but they're very interesting group.
So what have you got in the last 2.5 years? Do you get any information from the Akashic records, all this astral projecting that you do, about where we're at exactly as a race and this ascension timeline and everything else?
Well, so they tell me, for the most part, they said, ignore what's going on. It's in the bag. It's all going to get better. It's the process right now. So they always tell me, focus on your work. That's what's important. So there will be a civilization remaining to share this information, and will become valuable at some level to some people, but they don't give me a timeline, because even though I'm connected to all this, I'm also a human having an experience, right, just like everyone else here. So regardless if I'm here to contribute or just to have an experience or to have fun, regardless of my reason for being here, they're not going to tell me every single thing and when to expect it all the time, because that's part of the journey, right? That we don't know what's kind of going to happen. That's kind of, I guess we call it the fun of being here, or
Yeah.
But they tell me that, but in our lifetime, it will be a new world. So this is not going to be hundreds of years. This is not going to drag on. I'm told I'll need to do my work for another 20 years. That does not mean that we're going to be in this situation for 20 years. But it will take that long for people to, as a whole, to not need someone like myself.
Wow. And,
Yeah.
and by then it won't matter.
Yeah, true. It is what it is, right?
Exactly.
That's the irony.
Yeah, I'm just digging in for all this information. That's what I was going to ask you, actually. When apart from the joy of finding out about yourself from the Akashic record, what other benefits have you seen for people that have had readings? What kind of feedback do you get about? Because it must change. I mean, maybe some people. Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. There's a lot of confusion. Like, we live in these confusing times. There's a lot of misinformation and stuff going on, right? It's very confusing. It's like, why am I here? Why are we doing this? What does this all mean? Why? We're not getting clear answers, and we're getting a lot of different answers that aren't necessarily congruent with how we feel. So what I find that when people get a record done, their reading done with me, it's like, it's detailed enough. They can understand, yes, this all makes sense. I can relate to this information you're giving me. I now understand why I am the way I am. It gives me clarity on where I'm going, what I'm doing. And I think it also melts away that fear of the unknown, right? When you know that this isn't it melts away that fear. And so that, when the fear goes away, our vibration raises, and then we kind of are more open to new possibilities and new things coming into our lives.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head there, because when this isn't it,
yeah,
then it becomes a totally different experience, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, this is simply an experience. It may be a tough experience. It may be like, maybe one of the hardest experiences you've gone through, perhaps, or perhaps not. Might have gone through something even more horrific several times, potentially. But it is an experience, and it is, it's just one experience that you chose, and you did choose it.
Mm-hmm.
So we only have ourselves to blame.
Well, I think it's if you understand that you chose it, then that enables you to observe it, and then that enables you to look at problems when they come at you and say, okay, what am I supposed to learn from this, rather than, oh God, it's a problem. Because the more you push against it, the harder life is. But if you realize everything has a lesson, even all the dumb stuff I've done in my life, I'm now looking, oh well, I learned because when we have it in our language, we always go, oh, that was a terrible thing, but I'm so glad it happened. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here now.
Yeah.
Because that's the way it works. So that's a wonderful thing. If you guys watching want to go and look at all the rest of Erin's drawings and descriptions of these beings, the website is tmas.tv/Akashic. I'll put the link below the description and pin it at the top of the comments. But I'm out of time today, Erin. That was brilliant. Thank you very much for sharing all that knowlege.
Well, thank you. My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
That's a pleasure. It's fascinating. I'm going to go and bone up a bit more on the Shadarians because I feel like I need to get to know them.
Yeah. Well, you already know them.
I mean, you know what I mean. Thanks very much. Cheers, Erin.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, everybody.